I only trained probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks for this fight. I had to bury my best friend, and I dedicated this fight. I wasn't going to fight. I dedicated this fight to him. I was going to rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
Are you saying now, Mike, the bike?
Trauma does not create calm people. It creates activated systems. When a child grows up in an environment where emotions are volatile, affection is inconsistent, or attention must be earned, the body adapts long before the mind understands what is happening. The nervous system does not ask what is healthy. It asks, what keeps me safe? And safety in those environments often depends on anticipation, reading moods, predicting outcomes, staying ahead of danger, avoiding mistakes before they happen. So the child learns to stay alert. Hypervigilance becomes the baseline. Urgency becomes normal. Tension becomes familiar. This is not anxiety yet. This is preparedness. The body learns a silent rule. If I stay aware, if I stay sharp, if I don't fall behind, I might survive. That rule embeds itself deeply. It is not a belief. It is not a thought. It is a physiological instruction. And that instruction does not disappear when childhood ends. It simply migrates. As the child grows, the environment changes. School replaces home. Peers replace parents. Grades replace approval. Performance replaces attachment. But the nervous system keeps the same operating system, the same urgency, the same vigilance, the same intolerance for failure. So the child who learned to stay alert becomes the student who never relaxes. The student becomes the worker who never stops. The worker becomes the achiever who cannot rest without guilt. From the outside, this looks like motivation. From the inside, it feels like necessity. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of trauma-driven success. The person is not chasing success because it feels good. They are chasing it because slowing down feels dangerous, because stillness is where the body catches up, and the body remembers everything. Not all trauma creates achievers. Some trauma overwhelms the system completely. But in certain conditions, particularly where a child must stay functional to survive, the nervous system chooses activation over collapse. This depends on many factors: temperament, timing, level of responsibility placed on the child, whether withdrawal or performance, increased safety. When performance reduces danger, performance becomes strategy. When competence earns approval, competence becomes armor. When invisibility invites neglect, achievement becomes visibility. Over time, this strategy solidifies into identity. I am the responsible one. I am the capable one. I am the one who doesn't fail. I am the one who holds it together. These identities are not chosen. They are adaptive, and they work, at least for a while. Here is a truth that often makes people uncomfortable. Many trauma survivors function better under pressure than they do in peace, because pressure feels familiar. Deadlines, high expectations, risk, intensity. These conditions mirror early environments where attention was sharp and consequences were real. So when adulthood presents stress, the nervous system does not panic. It recognizes the terrain. This is why some trauma survivors excel in high-stakes careers, competitive industries, leadership roles under pressure, environments where others burn out. Not because they enjoy stress, but because they were trained inside it. What overwhelms others feels navigable. For many trauma survivors, success is not about joy. It is about control. Money means options. Options mean distance from vulnerability. Distance means safety. For someone who grew up powerless, control feels like peace. Achievement becomes armor. Not consciously, automatically. The person may tell themselves, "I want to succeed," but the nervous system is saying something else. "I never want to feel that helpless again." So the drive does not shut off, because the goal is not pleasure. The goal is escape. Even when circumstances improve, the body remembers. The nervous system remembers. Unpredictability, instability, emotional danger, loss of control. So success becomes a way to ensure those conditions never return. More money means more protection. More status means more leverage. More achievement means fewer threats. The irony is that the very system designed to create safety often prevents the person from ever feeling safe. Because safety is no longer external, it is internal, and trauma lives inside the body. From the outside, trauma-driven achievers often appear extraordinarily disciplined. Early mornings, long hours, relentless consistency, high standards. But internally, this is often not discipline. It is endurance. The same endurance learnt in childhood, the same tolerance for discomfort, the same capacity to suppress needs. They are not pushing because they are inspired. They are pushing because stopping feels threatening. Because stopping means slowing, and slowing means feeling. For people without trauma, rest feels neutral. For people with trauma, rest often feels unsafe. Because rest removes distraction, and distraction has been the primary coping strategy for years. Stillness allows emotions to surface, memories to intrude, sensations to emerge. So the nervous system resists it. Productivity becomes a form of regulation. Busyness becomes a sedative. Achievement becomes anesthesia. The first cost is not burnout, it is disconnection. Disconnection from the body, disconnection from emotion, disconnection from rest, disconnection from intimacy. The person becomes very good at doing, but less skilled at being. And because success is rewarded by society, this disconnection often goes unnoticed, or worse, praised. Society sees productivity, ambition, reliability, results. It does not see fear of stopping, terror of failure, inability to rest, identity fused to performance. So the trauma is mistaken for character. The coping mechanism is mistaken for strength. And the person internalizes this misunderstanding. They believe, this is who I am. But what they really are is adapted. Underneath all the success, a quiet question persists. If I stop, who am I? This question is rarely asked consciously, but it drives everything, and it cannot be answered with more achievement. When childhood trauma turns into success, it rarely does so randomly. It follows patterns, not because people choose them, but because the nervous system organizes around what once reduced danger. Over time, these adaptations harden into identities, and identities shape behavior more powerfully than goals ever will. There are many variations, but most trauma-driven success falls into a few core identities. Understanding them is essential, because these identities don't disappear when success arrives, they evolve with it. The prover grew up in an environment where they felt unseen, underestimated, dismissed, or quietly devalued. Maybe their emotions were minimized. Maybe their needs were inconvenient. Maybe praise was rare and conditional. The nervous system learned a rule: my worth must be demonstrated. So achievement becomes evidence. Grades, titles, promotions, money, status. Every milestone says, see, I matter. But the relief is always temporary, because the wound underneath is not logical. It does not respond to proof, so the bar keeps moving. The prover is often outwardly confident, but internally fragile. Not because they lack ability, but because their sense of worth is externally regulated. Success soothes them briefly, then the doubt returns. The controller. The controller grew up in unpredictability, emotional volatility, inconsistent rules, sudden shifts in mood or safety. The child learned that chaos was dangerous, so adulthood becomes about mastery. Systems, processes, schedules, plans, contingencies. The controller doesn't pursue success for admiration. They pursue it for predictability. Money means buffers. Buffers mean control. Control means less fear. From the outside, they look disciplined, organized, impressive. Inside, they are often anxious about losing grip. Because control is not about power. It is about avoiding helplessness. The escaper. The escaper associates childhood with limitation, shame, scarcity, or emotional suffocation. So success becomes distance. Distance from family, distance from identity, distance from memory. They are often highly driven, forward-focused, and allergic to stagnation. But no matter how far they go, something keeps pulling them forward. Because they are not chasing a future, they are fleeing a past. And the body does not understand distance the way the mind does. You can leave the environment, but the nervous system comes with you. The invisible child turned high achiever. You will see me now. This child learned early that attention was scarce. They were overlooked, overshadowed, emotionally unseen. So achievement becomes visibility. Recognition becomes oxygen. Praise becomes proof of existence. They often excel publicly. Awards, accolades, acknowledgement. But internally, they fear becoming invisible again. So they keep producing, keep achieving, keep proving. Not to impress others, but to avoid disappearing. These identities are not pathological. They are adaptive. They helped the child survive. They helped the adult succeed. And for a long time, they work. The problem is not that they exist. The problem is that they never update. They keep operating as if the danger is still present, as if failure still means abandonment, as if rest still means vulnerability, as if slowing down still means threat. So even when success arrives, the system does not relax, because success was never the real goal. Safety was. Shame is one of the most powerful fuels of success. It is also one of the most destructive. Shame whispers, don't fail, don't be weak, don't be exposed, don't let them see you slip. Shame creates perfectionism, overfunctioning, relentless standards, intolerance for rest. In the short term, shame produces results. In the long term, it corrodes the nervous system. Many high achievers are not confident. They are afraid of becoming unworthy again. They don't rest because rest feels undeserved. They don't stop because stopping feels dangerous. They don't slow because slowing feels like regression. Why discipline can actually be fear. From the outside, trauma-driven achievers look disciplined. Inside, many are driven by fear. Fear of falling behind, fear of losing relevance, fear of becoming disposable, fear of returning to powerlessness. This does not mean they are weak. It means their nervous system learned that survival required effort, constant effort. So effort becomes identity. I am the one who works. I am the one who never stops. I am the one who handles it. But identities built on fear require constant reinforcement, and reinforcement is exhausting. When success does not feel like success. Many trauma-driven achievers reach milestones they once dreamed of: financial stability, professional recognition, freedom of choice, and then something unexpected happens. Nothing. No joy, no relief, no peace, sometimes even anxiety, because the achievement removed the distraction, and now the nervous system has space to fill. This is often deeply confusing. They think, I should be happy, I should feel grateful. What is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong. Success changed circumstances. It did not rewire the nervous system. Why money does not calm a traumatized body. Money solves external problems. Trauma is internal. A traumatized nervous system is not calmed by numbers. It is calmed by regulation. You can have wealth and still feel unsafe when idle, panic when not productive, struggle with intimacy, fear emotional dependence, because the original danger was not financial. It was relational, emotional, existential, and money cannot repair those wounds. When success becomes a prison. For many trauma-driven achievers, success eventually becomes confining, because the system that built success was never designed for sustainability. It was designed for survival, and survival does not rest. It demands more output, more proof, more control, more certainty. Burnout often arrives not because the person is weak, but because the nervous system has been in emergency mode for decades. The body eventually says, this pace is not safe anymore. The collapse moment. Many trauma-driven achievers hit a moment when the strategy stops working. A health crisis, anxiety, depression, panic, emptiness, relationship breakdown. This moment often feels like failure, but it is not failure. It is the nervous system demanding a new strategy, because survival mode has limits, and those limits are not negotiable. The fear of healing. Here is the paradox. Healing threatens the very identity that built success. High achievers often fear healing because they believe, if I heal, I'll lose my edge. If I slow down, I'll fall behind. If I stop pushing, I'll disappear. These fears make sense. The identity worked. It protected them. It delivered results. Letting go feels like death. But it is not death. It is transition. What healing actually requires. Healing requires things trauma-driven achievers were never taught to do. Rest without guilt. Feel without fixing. Exist without performing. Be without proving. This is terrifying for a nervous system trained in survival, because healing feels like vulnerability, and vulnerability once meant danger. There is a moment that arrives for many trauma-driven achievers. It doesn't always come with drama. Sometimes it arrives quietly. The success is real. The money is there. The recognition exists. And yet, the body is still tense. The mind is still racing. Rest still feels unsafe. Silence still feels loud. This is the moment when the achiever realizes something unsettling. Success worked, but it didn't heal. And for the first time, the question is no longer, how do I achieve more? It becomes, why am I still running? For years, achievement functioned as regulation. Deadlines kept emotions away. Pressure kept the nervous system occupied. Goals kept the past at a distance. But success removes urgency. It creates space. And space is where the nervous system finally speaks. This is why some people reach the peak and feel anxiety instead of relief, because the coping mechanism has done its job, and now something deeper is asking to be addressed. When success is built on trauma, identity becomes fused with output. I am what I produce. I am what I achieve. I am what I can handle. So when healing begins to slow the system, fear appears. If I'm not pushing, who am I? If I'm not proving, do I still matter? If I stop striving, will I disappear? This fear is not irrational. The survival identity worked. It protected the child. It delivered the adult. Letting go feels like betrayal. But healing does not ask you to abandon your drive. It asks you to change its source. Trauma-driven ambition is powered by fear. Healthy ambition is powered by choice. Trauma drive says, I must. Healthy ambition says, I want. Trauma drive is rigid. Healthy ambition is flexible. Trauma drive panics in stillness. Healthy ambition can rest. Trauma drive collapses without pressure. Healthy ambition remains without force. This is not about becoming passive. It is about becoming regulated. Healing does not erase ambition. It uncouples it from survival. The nervous system learns that rest is not danger. Stillness is not abandonment. Slowing down is not failure. This takes time because the body must learn what the mind already understands. As regulation increases, something unexpected happens. The person does not become weaker, they become clearer. When ambition is no longer fueled by fear, success changes quality. Work stops being escape, it becomes expression. Achievement stops being proof, it becomes contribution. Money stops being armor, it becomes a tool. The person is no longer running from something, they are moving towards something. This is the point where success becomes sustainable. This stage is frightening because it lacks urgency. No panic, no pressure, no internal whip, just choice. And choice requires self-trust. Trauma survivors were never taught self-trust. They were taught vigilance. So learning to choose rather than react feels unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. It means new. One of the last things to heal is rest. Rest without justification. Rest without earning it. Rest without apology. For trauma-driven achievers, rest was never neutral. Rest meant vulnerability. Vulnerability meant danger. So the nervous system must learn something entirely new. That rest can exist alongside success. That stopping does not erase worth. That being is not a threat. This is the deepest shift. When success no longer defines worth, achievement becomes lighter. Failure does not collapse identity. Mistakes do not trigger shame spirals. Slowing down does not feel like death. The person is no longer fused with output. They are rooted in selfhood. This is not complacency, it is stability. After healing, success often becomes more effective. Not because the person is trying harder, but because they are no longer fighting themselves. Energy that once went into anxiety, hypervigilance, self-criticism, over-control is now available for creativity, focus, connection, vision. This is why many people report doing their best work after healing, not before. Not everyone chooses healing, because healing requires feeling what was avoided. Grief, anger, sadness, fear. It requires sitting with discomfort without converting it into productivity. Some people would rather keep running, and that is not a moral failure. It is a survival choice. But it does come with a cost. The real measure of success is not how far you outran your past. It is how safe you feel when you stop running. It is whether you can rest without guilt, exist without proving, be loved without performing, fail without collapsing. This is the success trauma never taught. Childhood trauma does not guarantee success, but it can create an urgency to escape powerlessness. Some people turn that urgency into achievement. Some turn it into addiction. Some turn it inward. The difference is not intelligence. It is not discipline. It is not talent. It is awareness. Because when trauma remains unconscious, success becomes a cage. When trauma is integrated, success becomes a choice. Closing. The question that remains. If you are driven, if you are restless, if you cannot stop, if success feels necessary rather than fulfilling, ask yourself gently, what am I still trying to survive? You do not need to abandon your ambition. You only need to make sure it is no longer running your life. Because wealth can buy freedom, but healing teaches you how to live inside it.